Republicans are expected to review bills later today with the lieutenant governor. This is for the special session. Yesterday, they tabled dozens of bills without any debate.
Ryan Breslin live for us this morning. Ryan, some of those bills were related to mental health and public safety. They stopped discussion, though, in less than 40 seconds, right?
Yeah, good morning to you, Amanda and Holly. Think about this. This live report that I'm giving outside of the state capitol this morning will be longer than the amount of time Senate committee members gave to those bills yesterday. Most of the gun-related bills were voted down yesterday in the first full day of the special session, with Republicans blocking more than 50 bills without any debate. Bills related to extreme risk protection orders, which Covenant families and Democratic lawmakers said was a top priority, were tabled. The Senate Judiciary did vote through a safe storage bill. That bill would require the Department of Safety to give out free firearm locks and require handgun safety classes include instructions about how to safely store guns. The second bill they approved requires court clerks to notify the TBI of someone's criminal proceedings within 3 days. It used to be 30 days. Here's the explanation from Republicans of why they passed what they did.
Well, we didn't have time to really look into every one of these bills. They were very complicated.
It just seems like we have everything in place to do something, and we refuse to do something.
Lawmakers expect at least 3 of those bills to make it to the Senate floor later on this afternoon. Senator Gardenhire, which you heard from, says that they will hopefully bring those tabled bills back next session, which would be in January. For now, live in Nashville, Ryan Breslin, WSMV4.